Hey guys, this is Ride Out MMA, and today we're going to be working on the pull counter. So for me, the pull counter is where we use our footwork to take a really sharp, quick angle, and that's when we can kind of set up our attacks on our opponents. So when I'm working with my opponent, the first thing that we need to understand is where our weight's going to be. So usually when we're throwing our strikes, we should be even between our feet. We don't want to be leaning forward, right? Putting all our weight onto our front foot where we don't have any balance or strength coming from the back leg. And that's going to be really important for this, but there's also going to be a little bit of give and take in terms of where our weight is going to be to make this technique work. So when I'm working with Yazzie here, all right, this is my opponent, I want to have a little bit of weight onto my front foot. So I can set that up with strikes, I can set that up, right, with even just a step in, a feint, right, to put just a little bit of weight onto my front foot. That's going to give me this loaded spring in this front leg to drive me to my new angle. All right, so whatever I've done to put some weight onto that front foot, I'm going to use that to push off. Okay? And it's really, really important to not make this feel like I'm leading with my back foot and then following with my front. I want to feel a lot of drive from my front leg. Okay? So I set this up with whatever strikes I want. I put a little bit of weight onto my front foot, and I'm going to use this to drive me to my new angle. And you don't want to go too far. Right? I don't want to feel like after I've used this footwork that I need to step back in to land whatever strikes I want to follow up with. I want to land almost at the exact same distance I was before. So here's my jab fully extended. When I do my pull, it's basically in the exact same position. I just have this new great angle, and I'm ready to attack right onto the side of Yazzie. Another really, really important thing about learning this technique, after I do the pull, it's sort of intuitive and it feels natural to sort of reel your rear hand back. You want to load that punch up so you can jump back in with it with lots of power. It's not necessarily a bad idea, but when I'm doing this technique and this footwork, I want to feel balanced right at the finish. I want to feel even weight on my feet and not just put all of my focus just to throwing my backhand. Right? If I land even between my feet, now I can throw whatever strikes I want. I can throw kicks, I can throw my right, I can still throw my left, but if you end up pulling back, boom, right, and sort of leaning onto this back leg here, the only option you have is to throw maybe a punch off the right side. It's sort of hard to follow up with anything else. So instead, right, I've done whatever weight transfer, some way to get some weight onto my front foot so I can drive off of it, take this new angle, and then continue attacking with whatever I want. So a really important concept to understand is the concept of the center line. So everybody talks about, being on the center line, being off of the center line. It's really just the only place that Yazzie, my opponent, would be able to attack and defend on. So there's always this line that's going to be following in between her stance, and wherever that line is pointing, that's really the only place that she's effectively trained to defend herself and to set up her own attacks. So what we're using this footwork for is to get off of that line, but continue to keep my line going between her. So after I drive off, boom, my center line is going basically right between her heels. So I'm attacking right on the side of her body. Her first reaction usually is to turn her guard and start defending with her hands, but whenever somebody uses footwork to take an angle around you, your first response should be to move your feet as well. But if we continue to attack right off of that pull, it's sort of hard for her to catch her bearings and then reface me again, at least really, really quickly. So I'm ready to attack Yazzie. I'm on the center line right here. If I just do naked footwork, just driving off my footwork and my feet and stepping to the side, the first thing Yazzie's going to do is face me. And if she doesn't do that, then this isn't like a trained person anyways. But anybody with a little bit of experience, as soon as you move, they should move too. So it's important to set this up with some strikes. So what I usually do is I'll go jab, cross, I'll commit on the cross and hit her with it, sort of keeping her in place just for a millisecond. And just as I throw that cross, I'm putting a little bit of weight onto my front foot. And now as my cross comes back, that's what pulls me to the side. And again, look, I'm balanced in between my legs. I'm not going jab, cross, pull, cross. Right? I want to be able to go jab, cross, pull. Right now I'm loaded for anything. Cross, right to the side of her body here. Or I can go jab, cross, pull, jab, cross, by putting a little bit of pressure on her. Or if she starts to adjust and face me or back away, I go jab, cross, pull, double jab, cross. Okay, I chase her a little bit. Another important thing when we start attacking on those angles, don't come back into her center line. So a common thing that a lot of my students make a mistake with is they'll go jab, cross, whatever way that they've taken this angle. And now when they start their attack, they sort of bring themselves back in front of their opponent again. There's no reason to do that. Immediately, just commit to attacking them on this angle and make them feel uncomfortable. Make them feel like they have to defend themselves at the sides of their body versus where they're comfortable right in front of them. I also really like using feints because it really holds my opponent in place just for a millisecond, and it's slightly faster than having to commit with my actual punch. So what I'll do in the exact same way, maybe I'll still set it up with the jab, doesn't really matter, but I'll use my rear hand to feint, and I'll scare Yazzie just for that millisecond, right? Put her in again, a sort of a defensive stance and posture, and then right as that feint reels back in, boom, boom, that's when I can set up everything else for my attacks. But it has to be really, really sharp. There can't be even a millisecond of fat on this motion, or else she's gonna turn and face me. And again, that's why it's really important when I land not to be too heavy on my back foot, right, where I have to sort of jump back in to land my strikes. I wanna feel balanced, boom, boom, and setting up whatever attacks that I wanna do. So setting up this defensively, I can go off of one of Yazzie's reactions. So if I know Yazzie is the type of fighter to commit with her jab, especially off her jab, and if Yazzie jabs at me, I can do the exact same footwork, boom. So instead of doing maybe our traditional slip, right, or the lean, right, stepping and leaning, right, I drive off of my front foot, make sure I'm balanced, and then again set up that attack. So right, as soon as Yazzie jabs at me, all right, and then I can step in on the side of her body. Or, right, just my cross, boom. Or to the body, feel really balanced. I'm gonna keep saying that, throw any of my kicks. Thanks so much. Subscribe to Ride Out MMA. Make sure you like, comment on the video, anything else you want me to break down or any questions you have about the technique today. Thank you very much. See you next time.